Hi, and welcome to Historical Influence. When we speak of the Byzantine Empire, we are using a term that its own citizens would not have recognized. To the people living in Constantinople, from the peasant in the field to the emperor on the throne, they were simply Romaioi, Romans. Their state was not a new creation, but the direct, unbroken continuation of the Roman Empire. The term Byzantine was popularized by Western historians, specifically Hieronymus Wolff in 1557 and later French scholars like Montesquieu, long after the empire had fallen. They created this distinction to separate the ancient Latin-speaking pagan Rome from the medieval Greek-speaking Christian empire. The story begins with a shift in the world's center of gravity. By the 4th century, the economic and political heart of the Roman Empire had moved east. In 330 AD, Emperor Constantine the Great dedicated the site of the ancient Greek colony of Byzantium as New Rome, soon to be known as Constantinople. While the western half of the empire crumbled under the weight of Germanic migrations in the 5th century, the east survived. It was different from the Rome of Augustus. While Latin remained the official language for centuries, the culture was fundamentally Greek. Over time, the empire transitioned. It became a Christian state, where the emperor was seen as God's vice-regent on earth. Unlike the West, which fractured into feudal kingdoms, the East maintained a centralized bureaucracy and a professional diplomatic corps. They viewed themselves as the sole legitimate civilization, the ark preserving Roman law and Greek culture in a turbulent world.
If the Eastern Empire was to be truly Roman, it had to reclaim the lands where the empire was born. In 527 AD, Justinian I ascended the throne. Born a peasant in Macedonia, he was educated and ambitious, driven by the dream of Restauratio Imperii, the restoration of the empire. Justinian's reign marked the empire's greatest territorial extent. His brilliant general, Belarius, destroyed the Vandal kingdom in North Africa and waged a 20-year war to retake Italy from the Ostrogoths. They even reclaimed the southern coast of Spain. For a brief moment, the Mediterranean was once again a Roman lake. But Justinian's legacy wasn't just built on blood and conquest. He reformed the administration and, crucially, commissioned the Corpus Juris Civilis, the Code of Justinian. This codification of Roman law would become the foundation of legal systems across Europe centuries later. In Constantinople, he embarked on a massive building program to display the empire's power. The crown jewel was the Hagia Sophia, the Church of Holy Wisdom. Its massive dome was an architectural marvel symbolizing the empire's spiritual and material wealth. However, this ambition came at a staggering cost. The wars exhausted the treasury and the population. The bubonic plague struck during his reign, devastating the workforce and the army. When Justinian died, he left an empire that was vast, but overextended and financially fragile.
Following Justinian, the empire faced a fight for survival. The 7th century brought a geopolitical catastrophe. The armies of the Rashidun Caliphate burst out of Arabia. In 636 AD, at the Battle of Yarmouk, the Roman army was crushed. In a matter of decades, the empire lost its wealthiest provinces, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. The empire shrank to its core territories in Asia Minor and the Balkans. To survive, the state had to radically transform. It abandoned the old Roman legionary structure in favor of the theme system. In this system, the remaining territories were divided into military provinces called themata. Soldiers were granted land in these provinces in exchange for hereditary military service. This created a class of soldier farmers who were defending their own homes. It was a defensive strategy designed to wear down invaders through guerrilla warfare and attrition, rather than risking everything in open battle. This reorganization allowed the empire to field large armies without bankrupting the central treasury. While fighting the Arabs in the east, the empire faced the Bulgars and Slavs in the north. Yet the empire held on. Under the Macedonian dynasty, founded by Basil I in the 9th century, Byzantium experienced a resurgence. Emperors like Basil II, known as the Bulgar Slayer, pushed the boundaries back, securing the Balkans and stabilizing the East. This era, often called the Macedonian Renaissance, saw a flourishing of art and learning.
The stability did not last. Internal strife weakened the military aristocracy. In 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, the Seljuk Turks defeated the imperial army, opening the gates of Anatolia to Turkish settlement. Desperate, Emperor Alexios I Komnenos turned to the west for mercenaries, inadvertently triggering the First Crusade. Relations between the Orthodox Greeks and Catholic Latins were always strained, but they shattered completely in 1204. During the Fourth Crusade, instead of marching to the Holy Land, the Crusaders turned their greed toward Constantinople. On April 13, 1204, the unthinkable happened. The Crusaders breached the walls, sacked the city, and carved up the empire. It was a blow from which Byzantium never fully recovered. The empire fractured into successor states, Nicaea, Epirus, and Trebizond. Although Michael VIII Palaiologos recaptured Constantinople in 1261 and restored the empire, it was a shadow of its former self. The economy was ruined, with trade dominated by the Venetians and Genoese. The 14th century brought catastrophic civil wars, particularly the conflict between John V Palaiologos and John VI Kantakouzenos, 1341 to 1347. This internal chaos devastated the population and the economy. Worse, the rival factions hired Ottoman Turks as mercenaries, giving the Ottomans their first foothold in Europe. By the end of these wars, Byzantium was no longer a superpower. It was a minor state surrounded by the rising Ottoman Empire. By 1453, the empire consisted merely of the city of Constantinople and a few scattered territories in the Peloponnese. The Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed II, a young and ambitious ruler, was determined to claim the city and make it his capital. The odds were impossible. Inside the city, the last emperor, Constantine XI Palaiologos, commanded a force of only about 7,000 to 8,000 defenders. Outside the walls, Mehmed II amassed an army of 80,000 men and a massive fleet. The Ottomans brought with them a terrifying new weapon, the Great Cannon, built by a Hungarian engineer named Orban. It was capable of hurling 600-pound stone balls, smashing the ancient Theodosian walls that had protected the city for 1,000 years. The siege lasted 53 days. In a feat of engineering, Mehmed transported his ships overland on greased logs to bypass the defensive chain across the Golden Horn Harbor, surrounding the city completely. On May 29, 1453, the final assault began. Wave after wave of Ottoman troops attacked, The Genoese commander Giustiniani was wounded and evacuated, causing morale to collapse. The Ottomans breached the walls. Emperor Constantine XI, discarding his imperial regalia, charged into the fray and was never seen again. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves through Christendom. Yet the legacy of Rome did not die in 1453. The city became the capital of the Ottoman Empire, and Mehmed himself claimed the title Caesar-i Rum, Caesar of Rome. Meanwhile, to the north, Moscow began to style itself as the Third Rome, the spiritual successor to Byzantium. The empire was gone, but its preservation of Roman law, Greek philosophy, and Christian theology had already planted the seeds for the Renaissance in the West. The Eastern Roman Empire had stood as the shield of Europe for over a millennium.
Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that shaped our world.